Yeah, I think we could start already. Uh, Let me introduce myself. My name is Liza. I study directing at FAMU, and my co-host Lumír.
Hi, it's nice to meet you, Jorge. And I study film in university in Opava in the Czech Republic. And today we will have a discussion with you. And we would like to ask you if you can introduce yourself and tell us more about yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is Jorge, and I am a student in Spain. That I'm going to present you something. I'm going to reply some question and also everything you want to ask.
Could you please introduce your short film Ego? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you repeat?
Could you please introduce your short film Ego and how you came to make it? What was your production process like?
Ego, it's a short film, an animation short film made by 6 people, me and my friends. And initially it was a class project, but we decided to present this animation to some festivals.
I would like to ask on what position did you work on this film? Are you animator or you did the script? Can you tell me more about it?
The script is simple. Basically, it's a girl who found social media and decide to have an account and post every day some photos of himself. But this girl, at first, she gets a lot of likes and a lot of good comments. But when time pass, every day comments are getting bad, and she feels even worse with every comment she gets. And at the end, the only thing that she wants to do is close the application and forget everything that happened in that application.
And why did you choose this topic? Do you see in your surroundings that people like your friends or schoolmates are too focused on social networks and likes?
I choose this topic because every day we were seeing a lot of our friends and a lot of important people that are not doing very well with his life because of the social media. They were overthinking a lot because of the comments that they receive from random people, and we think if we could do something to show people how harmful social media can be if you are not prepared, we definitely should do the animation. That's why we choose this topic.
Why did you choose to make an animation film rather than live action?
Can you repeat?
Why did you decide to animate the film rather than to shoot it?
Because the main purpose of this film is make an animated film. We didn't think other possibilities because it's what we wanted to do.
We can't hear you now. You are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's okay. Thanks.
We choose to do an animation film because that's what we wanted to do. We didn't choose any other possibility because the main purpose of making a short film is making an animated film.
And is it your first animated film, or do you have any other experiences?
No, it's my first experience doing an animated film. Also, my first experience doing an animated film with a team.
Yes, I think it's great, and I was happy I could see it. And I would like to ask you how long time did it take to make this film?
This film, I think this film took us about 6 months to finish. We were completely new doing this kind of things, and to be our first time, I think it came pretty well. At first, we started with a ring of ideas, and the idea of showing people how toxic social media can be like out like us the most.
I want to ask, we don't know who is writing that ugly comments, and I'm interested if you wanted to point on the random internet trollers.
Yeah, basically those comments are written by random people, the same people that don't think what they say or if they comments can hurt other people. We show it like that because we wanted to show how a social media can feel to some people that are fragile.
Did you do any research while writing the script for the short film, or did you use your own experience of communicating with social media?
We used our own experience because at the beginning of doing this film, we didn't know how to make some of the things, and we have to figure it out how to try how to show to people how it feels.
I think very interesting and great thing is then we don't see any other people than the main character, and that's I wanted to ask if it was your intention, because the communication of a main character is only based on social media.
Yeah, that's because we wanted to show how lonely it feels when you are completely inside of a social media, and we thought not including more characters in the film was the right option. The only reason that people only talk with the main character through social media is because we also wanted to show the false feeling of talking or being accompanied by other people.
And why did you choose this title for the film, Ego?
choose name this film Ego because in the animation the only thing the main character do is thinking in herself. As soon as she gets likes, the only thing she thinks is getting more and more likes to increase her self-esteem, and that is why we name like that.
And what was the most exciting and funny thing on making animated film? Is there something that surprised you? And what you enjoyed the most on the process?
About the whole process, I personally enjoyed the most doing the animation in the After Effects, in the post-production phase, because that is the part that I choose to do because that's the part that I'm really good at.
And could you tell us more about the whole process? How from the technical side the animation was done? Did you have any challenges because it was your first time working with this medium?
I think the main challenge of this animation is doing the actual animation because we didn't know how to do it, and making it was an actual challenge.
I would like to ask, when you started this film, you had some concept, some idea in your mind. Did it change somehow? Or it was the final product like the imagine at the beginning? Was there some changes?
Of course, it was some minor changes, basically visual changes, because we wanted to do things that we didn't have the ability to do because it was very hard and we didn't know or we didn't figure it out how to do it. But I think it came good.
Could you give an example of such things that you found too difficult to put in the film?
I found difficult animating the main character, like walking or scrolling the screen through the app. But I think it's good. It I think it's good.
And did you use some animation as a reference to study or to get inspiration or visual ideas? For example, I really liked that one of the last shots where the phone falls on her and consumes her. Did you have any visual inspirations for the film?
No, we didn't use any reference or inspiration. We did all of this stuff from scratch. But this came because every day me and my friends were talking about like how we can do it or how can it look better.
And you created your own social network. I mean that paper bird. And why did you wanted to create your own social media for that film? Was it because of that animation when the paper birds hit the main character? Because I think it's very great and I really enjoyed it.
That social media, it's like Instagram, the real social media, but we didn't want it to do it exactly like Instagram. We wanted to make our own social media, and that's why it looks like that.
And do you have some favorite authors of animated film?
No, we didn't thought about other authors. We just talk about making an animation, and we did it like that from zero.
And how were your friends supporting you and helping along the way while you were making this film?
Sorry, I didn't understand you.
Mhm. Your friends, how did they help you make this film? Your crew.
How we animated?
How did your friends help you with that? Your crew.
So sorry, I can't understand you.
I was just asking how did you work as a team for this film? What did you do?
Okay. It was pretty difficult to organize ourselves because we didn't choose any director or something like that. But at the end, after talking a lot and deciding between us, we finally could organize ourselves to do everyone one part. Like I have to do post-production, other guy has to do pre-production or the script, and go and so on.
And the animation and style itself, did you decide on it together or only one person?
No, we started together from the beginning to the end.
I miss a little bit that we don't see that picture that provoked such wave of hatred. I think it could be important, like what was the different. First, there are likes and hearts, and the second part of film there is hate and ugly comments. But I miss the picture. Why it's not in the film?
Yeah, we decided not to show that because we wanted to show that people doesn't have any specific reason to hate other people. I think people just hate other people because they want it in that moment. And as we see, there is a lot of people out there that behave like this. And the hearts and the message that comes is a visual reference that she is receiving a lot of notification from the app.
You mentioned hate. What do you think, or what if you discussed with your friends when you were talking about the script? what is behind this hate? Why do people behave like that on the social media when in real life they would probably not do and say such things?
I think these people that hate for no reason is because they have major problems uh, about his personal life, and they try for fun or something um, to make feel people the same way that they do to make himself feel better. I think that's why.
Do you think it helps to their ego?
Sorry?
Do you think that hateful comments are helping to their ego?
Yeah, the great comments are helping her to boost his ego and she thinks she's the best and a great person. But when this hate comes, that's when she go down in a hole of desperation.
And do you think that that if she hadn't stopped, she could have become one of those haters and could have started writing down unpleasant comments herself?
Sorry.
Do you think that the protagonist could become the hater herself because of the treatment that she received?
Yeah, I think as she gets even worse comments, she started thinking like these people, but with herself. She started to hate herself, overthink a lot, and that's how she feels. It feels really bad.
And what do you think could be the cure from that? What could help not getting hurt and not paying attention to those comments for young people and maybe for someone with less experience on the internet?
I think, from my perspective, that those comments should be completely ignored and not take as a reference a social media, because I people post what they want and didn't think a lot.
And how old is the main character? Because we don't know anything about her. It can be said it can be everybody. But did you have some idea how old could she be?
She is 16 years old, because that's the age that most young people are found are looking for what they wanted to be or how they look, and that's the age when young people care about the most.
I really like the part in a classroom when she is sitting next to the window alone. because we have a window in internet on phone, and there is like a connection with the window in a classroom.
No. That window is just part of the environment, and the classroom is the place where she should be learning, but instead of that, she picks her phone to see the comments and the likes, if she is doing well or not.
And how do you think the teachers at school and parents can help young people that suffer from online hatred?
I think talking with the with these young people is the best option, because you actually can't control what they do in any moment, and this is like other problem. You have to talk and understand how they feel, and some give some attention, and help those people talking or making a recommendation about what they have to do.
The animation process took 6 months. It's quite a long time, but I'm interested. What was your feelings when you finished the film? Were you happy, or did you feel something like sad that you can continue in doing this film? How was you feeling?
I felt very happy, because it was very hard every day, so constant, and me and the rest needed some rest, some time to assimilate that it's finished, it's completed. We are happy that we finished our first animation, and I think that's great.
While you were animating, because it was your first film, did you have any troubles or problems while making the project, except for the fact that it's happened to you for the first time?
Yeah. The main problem is using the software, and something crashed and we have to redo it again. But after all of that, we ended doing it again and again after until we do it as we like.
And did you have mentors that helped you?
Yeah, principally my teachers were helping someday, others not, but we ask our teachers for help or for ideas for the animation.
We have a first question from audience, and I will read it whole. Hi, Jorge. I really like the idea of the film which you created. can't wait to see your film. Have you experienced some trouble or problems while making the project? And what do you think is, on the other hand, the positive outcome of social media?
I think the positive harm of the social media is that you are more in contact with other people. You can meet new people, and you can share your work on your art with other people. Mm, Making that other people know your work if you are working on like this animation. You can post and announce on Instagram or Twitter and make people know that you have created this animation.
And are you working on something new now, or do you have something like pause from your art?
We had when since we finished this film, we had a long pause, and now I'm making another animation, but this time is different. It's in 3D, and I'm very excited for this project because we didn't have a lot, but it looks pretty well.
And how is it different to work in 3D from 2D animation while thinking back to Ego?
It's completely different because in a 2D animation you have to draw frame by frame the animation, or draw an initial character and animating in other program. But in 3D you have to model your character, and once it's modeled you can animate it using bones and rigging, and the software can do it pretty much everything: illumination, character, rigging, animation, moving the actual character, the environment.
And what is your main motivation to do film and art? What do you like the most about it?
I like the most to share with people my ideas or my point of views about some things. Like this time from a social media, or in the next animation is going to be other topic.
And do you work with the same people now, or did you find other crew members?
Now I'm working with people from this last animation and with new people, because some people of the last animation couldn't have to continue animating things with me.
And would you like to continue working in 3D animation?
Yes, I like more 3D animation than 2D because I think it's easier. It's easier if you control softwares and computer modeling, but that's my preference. For other people, it's going to be easier drawing a character in a paper. But 3D for me is easier and more exciting.
And what software did you use for that 2D animation?
For this 2D animation, we used Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere, and other program for sound that I don't remember. We used only a little that program.
We will be ending soon, but I would like to ask you if there is something you would like to tell.
Yeah, I will tell that if you have the opportunity to do something like that, you should go for it and do it. You simply have to do it.
And how would you like to continue working in animation? Would you like to be an animator, or would you like to go to, for example, advertising, game development, or other spheres?
My main purpose right now is working in animation or film animation. And after that, if I cannot work in a film animation or animation thing, I think game development, I will enjoy, like I will enjoy that as well.
Okay, I'm very glad that I could see your animated film. It was amazing, and we both wish you all the best and luck in your filming. And we hope that we will see many more films made by you.
Yeah, thank you. Right now I'm going to continue animating things, and I think I'm going to produce a couple more animation films.
We hope that you submit them to the festival, and we have a chance to see them as well. We wish you all the best in your work, and hopefully it will be bringing you more and more joy with each work as you develop yourself.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, and if nobody else has any further questions, we then will be finishing.
Yes, thanks you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, we have Christopher here. Can you hear us? He's connected. We can't hear you, Christopher.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hello.
Perfect. Hello there.
Christopher is main protagonist of same named document, Christopher Hunte. And for people that didn't see your film, can you please introduce yourself?
Certainly. My name is Christopher Hunte, also known as Simone Says. I am a drag performer that has been enjoying a drag career of 26 years, originally from Toronto, then moved to Vancouver, where I lived in Vancouver for 26 years, and now I'm back in Toronto. And I do apologize. I didn't think about the change of time. I thought that it was a 1 o'clock here, Ontario time, but it turns out it was 12 o'clock. So I do apologize for being late.
It's okay. You came right in time. We were chatting with second author, so it's okay. Don't worry. And for people that don't know what the drag is, can you please tell it?
Of course, I am. Well, you can't really tell at the moment with my beard because this is during COVID. I've grown this, but I'm a drag performer. So what that means, I tend to call myself a female impersonator or a gender illusionist, where I mimic various divas from Diana Ross to Tina Turner, Whitney Houston, Ella Fitzgerald, and when I'm on stage performing, you think that it's the actual performance of those great divas.
And could you tell us, please, what is the current stance on drag shows in Canada? Are they popular? And has it changed over the years during your career?
That's a very good question. So in Canada, drag has become huge. It's a phenomenon based on, I'd have to say that with RuPaul's Drag Race, it's now shown in all the living rooms in Canada. So drag has become an amazing piece of entertainment. When I started 26 years ago, and those before me, it was more or less a performance in the nightclubs and in the bars. But now it's become mainstream, where there are awards that are being given out to certain drag performers, and it's become, as I said, it's become mainstream, and it's more of an entertainment piece now, whereas before it was sort of on the fringe and late night shows. But now there are drag queens that are reading books in libraries to young children. There are those of us that do fundraising for the major hospitals in the city and raise millions of dollars. And so, as I said before, back in the day, it was more of a club scene. Now it's very much mainstream.
Oh, it's very interesting because in Czech Republic, it's not very common. Maybe in Prague there are some drag shows, but almost no. And if you are talking about mainstream, there is something like underground in drag shows.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so underground was what I refer to as the nightclub scene. So only people of age that were going to the nightclubs were being able to enjoy drag. But now a lot of the drag shows, mine included, are all ages. So you could bring your families to the show. You can be, I've had kids as young as 9 at my show because we've now turned it into an entertainment piece, a family piece. So yes, it can be a little salty or risque, but that's in the nightclub. When you do dinner shows, which I love to do dinner shows for families, and everybody's then able to enjoy drag. So that's what I mean by mainstream. It's for everybody. You don't have to be of legal age to go to a bar to see a show. Now, various restaurants, they have brunches, and it's called a drag brunch, where we'll come in and perform for families.
How did your work change? Or, of course, it did change, but what was your experience during COVID times?
I'm sorry, can you, I didn't hear that properly. Can you say that again?
How did everything change with COVID times in your work?
Oh, with COVID times. Okay, so I don't know if you have the history on this documentary, but the documentary was done strictly on Zoom. So during COVID, a lot of the performances that I received or booked were just like this, where I'd be performing in front of a Zoom camera instead of being in the public. And then when the numbers started to change, to decrease for COVID, when bars were opening, when restaurants were opening up again, we would perform, but we would, instead of taking the tips or the grats from the audience members that would come up to tip you, we would have them put it into a bucket. So there would be no close proximity, but people were still allowed to come up and tip your performers because, you know, that's part of how we make our money as well, through the tips.
And do you do drag shows for a living? Is it your main job?
I'm an actor. So to give you a bit of background with me, I was in banking. I was in finance for 23 years. And during that time period, I was also doing shows. So it got to the point where I was making the same amount of money as a banker as I was doing shows. So I went part-time in my banking career and full-time in my drag career, my performance career. And then in 2012, I left banking to perform full-time. But then I also took up the position of the director of entertainment for the Vancouver Pride Society. And Pride in Vancouver is one of the largest prides in North America. So I was fortunate enough to be the individual that booked all the talent. And then I left the Pride Society in 2015 and went into full-time acting. So my full-time role is acting on TV and film, either as Christopher or as Simone. I get bookings for both, and commercials as well. And during the pandemic, I'm also a writer. So I spent time writing. I've finished 3 projects. One is a cookbook that's drag related. The other is a bit of fiction. And the other is a chronicle of stories, a collection of stories of my mother from her youth to 2 months into the pandemic. So that is how I make my living.
And when you mentioned the stories, do you have some funny story with drag shows?
I have many stories. How much time do you have? Let's see. Well, I'll give you a serious story first. So the 2010 was the Canadian Olympics happened here in BC, in British Columbia, not here. I'm in Toronto, but when I was living there. So 2010, the Winter Olympics. And there's a rock band by the name of Iglesias. And they contacted my manager and said, we understand that Christopher, Simone says, does Tina Turner impersonations. Would she open for us as Tina Turner? So I was able to, during the Winter Olympics, open as Tina Turner for the INXS rock band. So that was a great story. It was a surprise. I didn't realize that it was going to be something that large. Funny stories in drag. Oh, yes. As a drag performer, it's imperative that you, when you're packing, you remember your music, you remember all of the accoutrements, the corsets, the hip pads, the shoes, and everything. Well, there was one night that I was getting ready to do a rather large show. It was a charity event for BMW. And I was getting ready and everything was great and just about finished, and I forgot my boobs. Boobs are important. So I didn't have anything to create them, but I had an extra pair of pantyhose. So I sent somebody out to the kitchen to get 2 pounds of rice, and I filled each side of rice and used rice for boobs that night. So yeah, but I have many stories of being a performer and, you know, traveling to perform and not knowing the language in the country that I was performing in, and using the wrong restroom, and having people just sort of stare at me like, oh, she's a very big girl, you know, things like that.
What are this? I'm sorry. Please go.
No. I just wanted to ask, did it happen that some men thought you are a woman and bought you a drink?
Well, that should happen every time I perform. Thank you very much. But no, I as they say, there's a saying, I don't dress to pass. I'm not trying to be a woman.
Yes,
However, I am what they refer to as a glamazon. When I'm in heels and hair, as a man, I'm 6 feet tall. But in drag, when I'm in my costumes and whatnot, I'm well over 7 feet tall. So I'm what we call a glamazon. And so people are very receptive to having a more than life-size version of the Black Barbie. And they love to have drinks and take photos and enjoy the time that we have at the shows and after the shows. Because I think it's truly important. If people come to your shows and see you perform on stage, then you owe it to them to come and meet them after the show to take pictures and talk to people. Oh, I have another story. Can I tell you another story?
Yes, of course.
Okay. This is a great story. So I had a dinner show that sold out for 5.5 years in Vancouver at a restaurant called Dull and Pennies. And there was one night that I was up on stage, I'm performing, and what I like to do is go down into the audience and make the audience part of the show. So I started walking by a table, and this wonderful lady, as I approached, she looked down. And the rule of thumb is, if you're at a drag show and you're looking at the drag queen and the drag queen walks towards you, don't look down because you will be picked on. So I tapped her on the shoulder. She looked up, very surprised. And I said, you young lady are now part of the show. So I took her by the hand and took her up on stage, and she was a very short lady. So I'm this tall and she's this tall. And so the audience is laughing. And I said, she said, oh, I'm very nervous. I said, oh, don't be nervous. They're not looking at you. And we laughed. And then I said, she said, oh, and this is another boob story. She said, you have large boobs. I said, yes, I do, but can you do this? And I reached down and I pulled out one of the fake boobs. And then she reached down and pulled out her fake boob. I hit the ground. I was on the ground. The audience was screaming and applauding. And afterwards, I went up to her and I said, that was phenomenal. Thank you for doing that. And she says, you know what I learned tonight, Simone? She said, if you can't laugh at cancer, you can't beat it.
We have one question from audience, and he's telling that he recently went to drag show in London and he really enjoyed it. And he's asking if there are any negative sides of these shows, some uncomfortable situation which you experience it.
Okay, so I am very good at reading people. And what I mean by that is, if I'm in a room performing, I know the people that are feeling uncomfortable. I know the people that have been, brought there by their wives, and this is the first time they've seen drag and they don't know how to take the situation. So what I try to do is make people very comfortable. But I've had a few situations where I've approached a table and I can read it very quickly and realize that, oh, this person is not comfortable with this, time to move on to the next table. But because I treat drag as an entertainment form and I inject a lot of humor into it, I'm usually able to lessen people's anxiety. And for me, I'm what they call a crossover queen. I don't do all of my performing in gay establishments. I do most of my performing in straight establishments. So I'm in a room with 1,000 people, 500 people, and a lot of them have never seen drag before. And one of the things that I do is I ask right at the beginning of the show, who has never been to a drag show before? And so I gauge the room and see, okay, now it's time to feel these people out to make sure they're very comfortable. So I make sure that when I'm doing my monologues and I'm chatting with individuals, I target those people who have never been to a drag show just to make them comfortable. But there have been some situations where I could tell the person was uncomfortable, but I was able to read it quickly. So I just move on to the next table.
Could I ask what is the furthest you've traveled with your shows?
I've been very fortunate in this 26-year drag career that I have in the further. Well, I'll tell you where I've been. So I've in North America, I've done BC, I've done the islands of BC, Victoria, the Gulf Islands. I've done New York, I've done Winnipeg, obviously Toronto. I've been down the coast. I've done Seattle, I've done Portland. I've performed in Europe. I've performed in Ibiza. I've performed in Paris. And I did not get a chance to perform in Amsterdam, which is hopefully my next spot after I come and perform in Prague.
Do you have plans to come to perform in Prague? Or
I always say this: if you want me, I am yours. You just have to send for me.
But I see that you never traveled somewhere unsafe. that you could always count on the reasonableness of the public, and I think it's very good.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's important. It's important to stand together. You don't have to agree with drag. You just have to understand that it's entertainment. I'm not trying to create baby drag queens, although it does happen. I've got many people who have said after seeing my show, I would love you to teach me how to do this. But again, the overall impact for me is to provide entertainment.
Could we also ask how this documentary, the Zoom documentary, came to be? Did the
Yes.
authors contact you, or how it happened?
So Real Youth is a service here in BC where they connect youth from 13 to, I believe, 21. And the session was called Troublemakers, where they approached people that were 50 and more, and they told our story through their youthful eyes. So they had contacted me, and so this documentary that I did was part of Troublemaker Series 5.0. I was also a part of the Troublemaker series in 2.0, 3 years prior to that as well. So it's a great opportunity for youth to learn the film industry, learn how to create a documentary in a weekend, and then get lovely hands-on training to be able to produce an event similar to what you just saw today.
I would like to ask about the makeup. You have a lot of makeup in your shows. Do you do the makeup yourself, or do you have some help?
No, I have learned to do makeup. I was never a makeup artist. When I started doing drag, I basically watched what I saw on stage and noted what I liked and what I didn't like. And so when I started practicing on my face, I was able to create these looks and then to go so far as to do impersonations. It did take a few years for me to get to to where I am today. But yes, as I say, face by Mac, body by the football player.
We have a question. If you have some social media or some people from audience, they want to follow you, if you have some contact.
That would be lovely. So my Instagram, I'll start with Instagram. It is my Instagram is because, so BECAUSE Simone SYMONE says SAYS. So because Simone says. That is my Instagram handle, and I would love you to follow. I also cook and bake and take lots of photographs. So please follow me on Instagram. I also have, I do have Facebook, but I prefer Instagram to follow. The pictures are much better on Instagram. So please follow me on Instagram.
And how much instruments do you play? Because you mentioned in the document you was in a band. So
yes, I was in a band. It was more of an orchestra, and I was in the brass section. So I played trombone, and I put it down after I graduated, and I haven't picked it up again. But I think that might happen next year. I might have to start pulling the trombone out and maybe adding that to some of my performances. I play guitar too. Sorry, I should also say I do play a little bit of guitar. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask about your drag name. How did you came across it?
Well, that's a very good question. So Simone Says is my drag name, and I love jazz. I love Ella Fitzgerald. I love Nina Simone. And so I took Nina Simone's name and added a Y to it and created Simone. And then with the birth of Facebook, you needed a last name. So I thought there's an old childhood game that we used to play called Simon Says. So I added Simone Says. And that is how I came up with my name.
With the experience that you have over the years, how do you see the drag stage has changed with the new generation? How is it different?
it has changed quite a fair bit. When I started doing drag, in order to be a top performer, you had to have about 5 impersonations under your belt. So in order to be classified as a top performer. Then as time went on, and when I started doing drag, there was no internet. There was no technology like this. So you had to learn from the basics. Now, as time has progressed, there are tutorials online to teach people how to do makeup. There are tutorials to teach you how to put the padding on and to do all of that. And I have found that new drag performers that are popping up like mushrooms, because it's very easy to learn how to do it from your own home. You can just do it at home and you can learn. What I find that the internet does not do is teach you how to, with what I like to say, sell a number. To make a performance amazing, the internet doesn't give you that piece. It'll show you great performances, but it doesn't allow you, it doesn't give you the education and teach you how to perform very well. And what I also note that when I started performing, it was all about trying to make it look real. So a lot of my performances are lip sync. So we're singing along to the music or the backup tracks using a microphone. And the audience, it's what we call the belief of the fact that what they're hearing is actually coming from the performer on stage. Now I've found that moving forward now, the younger generations don't use the microphone. And I find that, for me, I find that problematic because I would always use a mic. I tell people, you use a microphone when you're doing an impersonation. You use if you're going to be a dancer, if you're a dance queen, then use a headset because you need your hands. If you are doing comedy, you don't need to use a microphone because it comes across as theater. And when you see actors on a stage, they're not using a microphone. But if you're doing comedy, to me, it's theater. Everything else, you use a microphone. But the newer generations are not using microphones, which for me, I would feel uncomfortable because I want it to look real. But for the newer generations, it's more of performance art. And that it's great. Don't get me wrong. I do, when I see these shows, I appreciate them because they look great and they're doing things that I would not do or that I have not done. And they're not using a microphone. And to them, it's a different headspace. It's not about making it look real. It's about giving a performance to the audience.
Maybe it's a bad question. I don't know, but are in Canada something like drag workshops or something like that?
That is a very good question. And you know what? There should be. For years, I've said that there should be schools of drag. And so you have some drag performers that are called drag mothers, and they teach the younger ones how to do their makeup and how to do that. So they're called drag mothers. I am not a drag mother. I am a drag godmother because I don't want to have any children, but I will show people things. What I did do, which was lovely and educational, there was a high school that was doing a spring production called La Cage, which is a drag-based musical. And so I was hired to come in and do a lecture, a workshop on how to do makeup, how to stand, how to walk in high heels, how to perform. And that was truly, truly wonderful. And what I also did was I had the 40 member cast come to my dinner show and watch me perform. And then I went and did the seminar and the workshop with them, teaching them. And it was truly educational and truly wonderful.
Mm.
Can I tell you how I started doing drag? Would that be a good?
Yes. Tell us, please.
Sure. So I had moved to Vancouver, and this was in 1994. So many of you were not even born yet. And a friend of mine living in New York said, I want you to fly to New York. There are 5 of us, and we're going to do drag for the first time in New York City because he was living there. So I went out and I bought the high heels and practiced wearing the high heels, doing housework so I could learn how to walk in the heels. spent $200 worth of makeup, learned to do my makeup, and I had an outfit made. Now, a month before the trip was supposed to take place, it fell through. So now I had the shoes, I had everything, but nowhere to go. So it happened to be Halloween. So I went out to the neighborhood bar with a friend of mine, and I walked in, and the manager gave me a card. And I said, "Oh, what's this for?" He said, "Oh, you are in the best drag competition." Now, before I left the house, I hadn't had dinner, so I threw Halloween candy. Do you have Halloween in Prague?
No, we don't have, but we know.
But you know what it is.
Yes, yes.
Good. So I threw candy into my bag and went to the bar. So now I'm called down to the stage. There are 10 performers. The audience selected the winner, and it got down to the final 3. There was a Las Vegas showgirl who looked amazing, should have won, Storm from the X-Men, and then me. And so when they got to me, I opened up my bag, my purse, and started throwing Halloween candy out to the audience. And they went crazy, and I won the competition. And from there, I started getting booked because people thought, "Oh, you're a performer. You've been doing this for a long time," which I hadn't been. But I was very successful in the beginning stages. And then I also played competitive volleyball. So here was a night that it was an evening where I had to host our year-end banquet. And at the end of the banquet, 45 minutes later, I had a show to do. So I thought, it's only 45 minutes. I can't get ready in that time period. What do I do? So I hosted the banquet as Simone, full drag. And it was hilarious. We had a great time. And at the end of the banquet, 2 gentlemen came up to me and said, They came up and they said, "We own a restaurant and we would love for you to put a business proposal together and come and do a dinner show at our establishment." And that dinner show sold out, as I said earlier, for 5.5 years.
I think you are very talkative and quite showman, but was you nervous before the show? Are you nervous sometimes?
Am I nervous?
Yes, yes.
I don't call it nervous. I'm excited. I'm excited to perform because for me, it's a love letter to the audience. I only perform the music and the artists that I love. So I'm excited to be able to share that with an audience. So I don't get nervous. No, I get excited.
I think we need to end it soon. But do you have something you want to tell the people?
Yes. No matter your identity, no matter your sexuality, always take up space, be heard, and stand up for what you truly believe in. Because if you stand for nothing, you fall for everything. So stand up, be heard, take space. I love you, Prague. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and the Instagram is because Simone says.
Because Simone says. Yes. Please follow me today.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a nice chat.
My pleasure. It was very nice to chat with you all.
Okay, good luck.
All right. Bye for now. Take care.
And we thank you so much for the participation, and we will be ending the Q&A session now. Thank you all and wish you a very nice Saturday.
Yes, thank you very much, and I hope you will come to next questions and answers in this festival. See you and goodbye.
Bye-bye.